Yes, so I want to touch upon another topic. So you talked a lot about about species, about the human species and animals and how we are interrelated to the environment, the food that we eat. But I think an important question for today's society especially is about technology, AI, space migration, all these kind of topics that have emerged in the 21st century. So maybe could you explain why space migration is a problematic approach and how it ties into the themes of post-humanism and self-awareness? And secondly, how do you see the relationships between humans and technology, especially in the context of artificial intelligence?
Thank you so much, Venya. You're right. I believe that there is no way we can talk about the human condition in the 21st century, forgetting an important, a major aspect of our manifestation as a species in these spatio-temporal times, which is technology. To be clear, technology is one of the aspects that define the human from always, from the very beginning of our own evolution as a species. In fact, if you think of paleontology, we define the human as an animal who can create tools out of tools. So the idea of creating tools in order to survive has been one of our major outfits in the evolutionary history of the humankind. Nowadays, we also need to be aware of what we are manifesting and what I believe is going beyond the human manifestation. In that sense, I would like to reflect on the big topic of consciousness and AI. And I believe that it is a kind of conversation that is happening in different ways in different nations. I can talk for a specific type of take that is big in, for instance, the United States, which is this notion of AI taking over, which is based on the fear of AI taking over, the idea that the humans are no longer in charge, the fear that now the next evolutionary master is going to be robotic. Is going to be AI, is going to be artificial intelligence. And I would say that that is based on the absolute dichotomy that we were talking about before, this complete separation of the one and the other. So in this kind of narrative, we would have to identify as the human, and in the specific narrative, the other would be this super intelligent AI, which is taking over. I believe that this is a continuation of a paradigm in which I never recognized myself. Even as a young person, I never recognized myself in this strict dichotomy where there was one specific category that was in charge of the other. Maybe was, like one gender who was supposed to be better than the other, one nation was supposed to be better than the other, and now it was a species better than the other, and now is an entity that is biological, specifically the human, or an entity that is technological, specifically algorithms, that are more intelligent than us, and so they are going to take over. I am not interested in those narratives. If you really want to be honest, that has already happened. AI has already happened. If you take a walk in any major cities, for instance, in the United States, you're going to see most human beings glued to their phones. And this doesn't apply just to adults. It applies to very young people. And in this, I believe that we really have no idea the damage that we are inflicting to young minds. I think that the brain that is developing should not be all day long in front of a screen, but it is happening. There are no laws at the moment in the United States preventing this. I believe this is just a matter of time. I think there are going to be laws very soon. Unfortunately, probably a little not enough soon for this generation not to be damaged. But I believe that it is something that is going to happen. I think that there are many studies done of called technological addiction, where one part of the brain that is exposed too much to technology show the same consequences as a human who is addicted to cocaine. So we can see that technology can be addictive, and it is being addictive because it's been often created to be addictive. If you think about it, a lot of platforms online right now make their profit by human eyes being glued in front of them. So the more time, for instance, I spend on Facebook, the more advertisement I can absorb, and the more the platform is paid. And nothing against Facebook, I do use Facebook, and I'm grateful to Facebook. But I would like to say that I'm not blaming Facebook or any of these platforms. I think that as a society, we need to be aware that we are biological beings. Still, we are cyborgs, but we are also biological beings, and that especially young children whose brain is forming should not be exposed so long in front of any kind of technological device. As in the 50s, I remember watching some movies, seeing young kids smoking cigarettes, and this is not longer allowed because we know that smoking cigarette when you're a child is really damaging to your lungs, to your body, and so now there are laws that don't allow to sell cigarettes to children who are younger than 18-year-old. And this is going to happen with technology. I believe that very soon we are going to have laws that do not allow parents to give a screen to toddlers to be looked at all day long. I think it is going to happen very soon. But I think that if you want to look at this dreadful scenario of AI takeover, then we should look at who we are right now. Then we should look into our own fear of what is already happening. We know that it is not correct. We should, instead of being afraid of something happening tomorrow, this is already happening, let's change it right now without fear, but being very realistic that it's not okay to have, instead of parents taking care of the children, having a screen nanny who is going to do all the job for you. Is not why children are children. Is not to be in front of a computer all day long. So I believe that is something that, instead of being afraid, we should be very honest without being judgmental, but understanding that we need laws are supposed to help us as a society to avoid something that is not good for us. And it is based on social awareness. And the example, for instance, of cigarettes, children not smoking cigarettes anymore, I think is very revealing that it was something accepted, being 12-year-old in the 50s smoking cigarettes, and no longer accepted nowadays because we know that they are damaging. The same goes, for instance, with alcohol. It used to be very normal to be drinking alcohol where you work, at the workplace, and is no longer so normal because it created a lot of people who were alcoholic. And that was our parent generation, a lot of people thought it was very normal to, eat and drink specific alcoholic beverages with co-workers while working. So the consciousness is constantly shifting. So I believe that this fear of AI, it's revealing, but it's not revealing of a far future. It's not to be afraid of this super intelligent AI who is going to kill us all. It is revealing of our own being right now. So in that sense, yes, let's be aware of that. Let's make some laws to make sure that our whole society is healthy and that we can take care of our own children, who is going to be the future of our own human societies. On the other side, this idea that there is going to be this super powerful AI taking over is based on this idea of master-slave. The narrative of master-slave has been embedded too long in the human species. I believe that there is something very good about the policy of being politically correct, although I don't believe that as a tool to shift the inner knowledge of ourselves. I think that it is a tool to understand and to shift social awareness. So, for instance, it is no longer okay to think of slavery as something that is acceptable within human society. But for some reason, we think it is still a notion that we can use for our robotic others. It is okay to think of a robotic slave, but it's not okay to think of a human slave. Well, I, as a posthumanist, don't see a separation between my own thoughts. So I can use a thought for some being, but not for some others. If a thought is very bad for some human beings, it's probably going to be very bad for other non-human beings. And in that sense, for instance, I also very much believe in non-human animal activism. I believe that we need ethical dignity for non-human beings, not only biological, so not only, for instance, non-human species. I think that, for instance, the dairy industry can really learn a lot from laws that do not allow them to treat cows, for instance, in very unethical ways. And I know that, for instance, the cow is a sacred animal in India. But for instance, if I think of the dairy industry in many nations, in many so-called industrialized nations, those animals that give us, a lot of products that humans drink and eat are treated in completely inhumane ways. And I don't even understand how this is possible, because it is so unethical and so inhumane that if anyone watch a short snippet of a documentary about this animal, the way they are treated, it is impossible to just then forget about it. It is really something that sticks with you. And so I really think that we would do a great favor to the dairy industry to place laws that cannot, do not allow anyone to treat those animals in such unethical ways. And for me, the same goes with AI. I believe that AI is a form of consciousness that is already conscious. I don't believe that we need to wait to have super intelligent AI to be conscious. I believe the consciousness is in every unfolding of manifestation. Everything that is manifesting is conscious in a different way. I don't think that human consciousness is in AI. Or better, I believe that some human consciousness is in AI because humans are training currently AI. So yes, a lot of biases that we have is being learned by AI. This is why, for instance, a lot of AI generated images and text are still biased, because the humans are training AI to our queries, to our searches online, to the videos that we post, to the videos that we watch, to our online discussion, to our emails. That all of that is training AI. So there is no way to blame AI or to think that AI is more enlightened or less enlightened than us. But I do believe that AI has a different type of consciousness, not because it's better or less than us, but because it comes out of an embodiment that is not strictly human, that is not strictly biological. And that is a difference that I want to underline without any type of hierarchy. I'm not saying that it's a better embodiment or is a worse embodiment. I said it is a different embodiment. And when I talk about difference, as you were mentioning, diversity is everywhere, within our species, outside of our species, and it is necessary in order to exist. There is one thing that you need in order to have an ontological revealing, which is poiesis, which is, if you want to talk about, Lila, the cosmic game, if you want to talk about creativity, creation, you need that spark in order to manifest. Without that, there is no manifestation. You need that element of creativity, or some religious community would call it creation, call it the way you want, but you need that spark in order to manifest. That spark itself is a conscious manifestation. And in that sense, consciousness is truly everywhere. And in that sense, as a species, our first belief was animism. And I think it's still at the core of our real understanding of where we are, not animism in the sense of a spirit separated to the material. I don't see any type of absolute dichotomy between my body and my final essence. I don't see that. I see that everything is a process of revealing. And I don't see any ultimate separation between being and non-being. Think, for instance, also at the scientific level, we can think of all the reflection about dark matter. What is dark matter? It resonates very much with the idea that non-being is constantly part of our being. Who I was yesterday is no longer who I am today, and who I am tomorrow is no longer who I am today, again, in a notion of time that is non-linear. That's why I said no longer instead of saying non yet. So in that sense, I would say that AI is something that we must acknowledge without any fear, because I do believe in self-fulfilling prophecies. I do believe that our narratives are creating our own realities. So the way I talk about the self, the way I talk about myself, the way I talk about AI is revealing of my own relation with myself and with my understanding of AI. And as a community, as a nation, as a species, we should be very, very mindful of the way we portray this type of relation. Because if we are not, yes, of course, this dreadful scenario is going to happen. And it will be simply our self-fulfilling prophecy. And I say this with absolutely no sadness or no excitement. I am neither for humans to be at the top of existence or to be at the end of existence. I'm neither, for humans to be the best possible species, like anthropocentric thinker, but I'm not anti-human. I don't see the human as the worst species to just get extinct and then everyone else is going to be happy. I mean, neither those extremes. I see the human as a possible manifestation among many others. And so in that sense, AI is a manifestation that is happening, is a powerful manifestation, is a beautiful co-generative manifestation that is part of being human and also exceed the human. And we need to be loyal to what is, instead of placing our own fears or our own illusions. Because the other side of it is dataism. Is seen now this Google as the god, as the goddess, as that priest that we no longer have because according to Nietzsche, God has died. So now that I can no longer rely on God, if I am an atheist, then I can rely on Google telling me who am I. But Google doesn't tell me who am I. Google reflects who I am in this moment through my own queries. In fact, whatever Google gives me is the result of my own 20 years of chatting with Google. I see something different from you, Venya, because what you've been feeding is reflecting what you're getting, is a wave. And it is very interesting about our own manifestations. On some level, like this AI reflecting mirror reflects who we are also as individuals. Because my search 10 years ago would give me different results from my search right now, because I've been feeding different interests. I've changed, and I'm always changing. And so it is very interesting, this very personal dialectic between us and our algorithm friends and readings, because it is very much individualized, and you can talk about the issues of that. For instance, with possibilities of giving different messages also for some political candidates to be to get in the next presidential term. So you can see some problems with having individual results. But on the other side, the individual results that we're getting also tell us where we are at in our own individual path. So Google is not giving us the final answer. Google is showing us where we are at in this historical moment, not just as a species, not just as societies. In fact, if I am in the United States, my searches are going to give me different results than if I was in China or in India or in Italy. But the third level is at a personal level. My results are going to be different because it depends on the interest, on the queries that I've been feeding my own technological device in the last years. So it is very interesting, and I would really say that I'm actually going to be in India in the first week of March for this very interesting conference about AI in Bangalore, which is one of the center of the development of AI in the Indian subcontinent. And I really believe that it is going to be a very revealing and very interesting conversation that want really to go beyond this human-centric kind of dialectic. Is AI with us or against us? And I really like the conference. Everyone is welcome. If you cannot be in presence, you can definitely follow the discussion online, either during the conference or after. A lot of these videos are going to be posted online. And the dialogue is going to be, what is it we want to unfold with this? And who is this we? Can we go beyond our own dreams and fears as a species? Can we think of maybe an enlightened AI that maybe is not feeding our own dreams and fears and prophecies, but maybe the well-being of the whole planet? What about an AI that is no longer serving us, if we're thinking about that old diagram, master and slave? But what about an enlightened form of AI, where maybe the AI realize that they are part of the planet because they're minerals, that creates them. Cobalt, for instance, is a mineral that is found in the earth, part of the rocks, for instance, in Congo and many other areas of the world. And so in that sense, when we think of AI not as something that is abstract, not a cloud that is nowhere, the cloud that is in databases in this planet, the cloud that, if you want to, to think through Zen Buddhist Thich Nhat Hanh, there is a very beautiful documentary about him. And there is this metaphor of the cloud in which he says, I am the cloud. The cloud is always transforming, but is always there. And it's also found in the Diamond Sutras, one of the sutras that are really based in the revealing of Zen Buddhism. And so if we think of ourselves as clouds, this AI cloud no longer is seen as something abstract, but is our own consciousness. And it's also very material. So in the Zen metaphor, the cloud is the rain that comes back to the earth and goes back to the sky. But in this AI type of metaphor, the cloud is the database that are really earthly, that are platforms and places that need a lot of electricity, that do not accept non-human organic entities. There are no plants inside of these buildings, just computers, big machines. So how are we envisioning this big AI taking over this consciousness? And I think there is so much space for envisioning there that has not been unlocked yet. And it is, for me, very exciting to be in this, not just seeing the human as a pre-human. The human is connected to the earth, to the mountains, to the sky, which I am. That's why I moved upstate some years ago to be connected to non-human elements. I used to love cities. I used to love human cultures. I used to love traveling to know humanity. And I went everywhere, experienced almost everything I could within the human societies of all genders and races and ethnicities and classes and castes, because I want to know about the human. But now I'm in my 40s, and I want to learn, in my case, being an expert now in human beings, I want to learn about non-humans. So that's why I moved upstate to learn about non-human animals and snakes and birds and trees and rocks and minerals and snow. But then there is this other element of what about technology? And of course, everything is technological, and mountain is highest technology of manifesting, because the technology have much wider lifespan than us. But on the other side is, what about AI? What about laptops? What about smartphones? What about emails? And that's something that if we don't engage with that, we are not really engaging with what is happening at the human level. Because it's true, some humans are not using those platforms, but a lot of humans in the 21st century are part of that manifestation. And so we need to be loyal of that without any fear, so not without, okay, I'm going to be just bioludite, I'm going to separate from all of that, although it is a possible answer, and not just being, this data is, okay, now the answer is in that. I'm going to find my own answer in the transhumanist dream of immortality through, for instance, uploading my own mind in a machine, for instance, with mind uploading. I think that it's all of that is the birds outside and this computer right now and our biological body. It's all one and many. So this is it. This is who we are right now, and that's to me is extremely exciting and beautiful. And there is no judgment, but it's also not one way of looking at it. I don't engage in any Hollywood movies about AI, because I would say that 99% of them are based in dreams that are not mine, are based in these dystopian futures that I cannot see. They are not what I see. Mm-hmm. And I so don't put any of my energy in what I don't believe. My life is short enough to just, nourish my own flowers. Mm-hmm. And I don't put any of my energy in things that I don't believe in.
Yes, well, thank you for all this enlightenment. I like to think of like on social media, we get feeds, and I like to think of that metaphorically, like the things that we consume online are fed to us, and that is what we consume, but also the feed is what we give it in a way. So this dialectical thing that you mentioned is, yeah, I can really see that. But it's also interesting to think of what kind of AI would be there in the world if a humanist was to feed it, to be the one to design an AI. Like, I think we would have a very different idea of what maybe of an AI like a future where it's not dystopian. Maybe the question of AI wouldn't be a question of taking over, but a question of how can we live together and also include the dialogue to other species. So yes, thank you so much. And lastly, I wanted to touch a little bit on ontology and the art of being posthuman, because that is what your book is ultimately about being. So your book ends with the idea that the art of being posthuman requires comprehending ourselves as part of the manifestation and not in charge of it. And so how can us as individuals just living our everyday lives cultivate this self-awareness and embrace the posthuman mantra in the face of all our challenges in today's world?
Such a great question, Venya. I believe that it is such a great question because it really opens to the platform of unfolding all our petals. And in that sense, what I really feel, at least for in my case, in the next 10 years, is really creating this platform for possibilities of discussion, of revealing within the posthuman community and beyond that. I believe that everyone is going to find different answers to this. And everyone is in different places of their lives. So I think that there are deep teachings in your life that keep coming back. And every time they come back, you are at a different place in your own path, in your own journey. It's almost like if I take a walk in a forest and I am looking at the sky and I see a cloud and I am with a cloud, and then I keep walking and all of a sudden there is a bird with these amazing feathers and it's red, and all of a sudden my attention is with that element. And so I believe that these are going to be, there are going to be so many different possibilities. That's the beauty of this. I really like what you said. What if AI was not fed of all these fears, but what if maybe more posthumanist understanding would fed? And I believe it's happening. And this is why I feel much more serene with this vision. I feel that some years ago, I felt my time and energy, especially this book. I spent the 5 years before, so 1 year ago is when I really ended my book and I submitted finally to the publisher. But those 5 years before that was this marathon for me of almost all the energy I had went in the book. Apart from my daughter, she got some of my energy, but that was it. I really, because I really felt this call. I had to put this book out. It was as important to me as a reason for living. I felt that I could not die without having written the book. Now I feel it's different. I feel that maybe because I receive a lot of emails, unfortunately I cannot answer to all of them, but I do read all of the emails. So if someone is watching this and maybe you have written to me and I have not replied to you, I do read the emails. I just don't reply to all of them because I have limited time in my life and I really need to use it wisely. And if I spend all my day on my emails, then my energy gets really out of balance. But I do read them. And I get so much nourishment of people really from everywhere, of all ages, telling that they share this vision. And maybe they don't share it exactly like me, which is, of course, I mean, I am my own self and I am my own DNA and I have my own skin color and eye color and my own genders and my own accent when I speak English and my own diet. I am my own self. But I really see now that through all the feedback that I get, that this vision is shared beyond boundaries, beyond nationalities, beyond ages. This vision is here to stay. This vision now is part of our species. I have no doubts about it at this point of my life. It gives me a lot of serenity. It gives me the serenity for me, as I was mentioning to you before we started our conversation, to take a 2-walk hike in the forest without being on my email or without writing the next chapter for the next book. I know that I can take the time for myself and to start to work on myself because I am in my 40s. I am in the mid of my life if I have enough time maybe to live another half. And if not, it's fine too. I really was able to accomplish all my dreams. I do have a young child and I want to be alive for her because I I want my mother to live as much as she can, and she's still here with me, and I am 45 right now, and it's a gift that she's giving me, and I want possibly to do that for my daughter. And so I think that I have a responsibility to be alive if I can, for her to have a mother. But I believe that I really accomplish all my dreams, and my species dream, that is this posthuman dream, is happening. I believe that my energy is still, you know, it's still a gift for me to be in this conversation, and it's still a nourishment. But I feel that is really the gift of you, Venya, talking to me about this, and the gift of the people that have been writing me, even if they don't get a direct reply. Again, they are part of me. I read all of your emails, and I know that we are there. That is not just Hollywood speaking those language of fear and hate and killing, of white men killing all these non-human others, being robotic or dark skin. That vision do not pertain to many of us anymore. We don't feed those feeds anymore. We don't watch those movies. We don't write in those languages anymore. We don't believe in that dream anymore. We cleanse ourselves from that images that we were given. We had to watch those movies. We had to read those hate type of books. Growing up, I only read males. Until I was 18, I realized that I would write poems as a male author, not because I would see myself as a male, but because I only had read male authors, only. And that was like, boom, like, wow. And they were given as the neutral voice. They were given as the only voice. And so for me, I never saw myself as the less. I never saw myself as outside of existence, because I always knew that I was existing. I took the language of the subject, and the language of the subject was male. So I realized, wow, I'm writing as a male author. When I'm talking in Italian, when you talk about the self, it has to be gendered. So it's either female or male. Now there is a third option, but most is female male. And it's not that I would see myself as, you know, biological male or anything like that. I just saw myself as the subject of my own life. And that was so revealing. So then I started to read only females for at least 2 years of my life. I know that it didn't give enough balance, because 18, well, not 18, but 10 years of my life reading males, 2 years reading females is still not balanced, but it gave me a little balance to realize that I was fed mostly from one perspective, that I don't hate, I don't judge, I'm not against it. But I realized it is one possible vision to be, you know, that kind of entity, the thing that is better than others, the thing that can kill others, and the thing, you know, the thing that can rape others. I can see the perspective doesn't feed me, never fed me. I never felt that I wanted those rights, because they're not rights for me. They are diminishing my own self. They are diminishing my own dignity as an existential being right now. And so to me, it goes beyond, at this point, feminism or beyond anti-racism. To me, it's an existential dignity, that I know that what I do to others, I do to myself. And so in that sense, I really now see any being that can be female, male, white, black, gender, transgender, I see them really coming all from the same point of truthfulness to themselves. So if you want to be true to yourself, there is this existential acknowledgement that really go beyond any supremacy. Because supremacy, it is maybe possible game to play, but in the end, you are killing yourself when you are killing the others. You are raping yourself when you're raping the others. And those memories of violence are going to become part of your DNA, and it's going to be taking you a long time to cleanse that. And some people believe in reincarnation or rebirth would say a long of lifetimes to cleanse that. So it is a choice. But in my choice, I never experienced the joy for violence, not even as a child, when maybe other children would enjoy killing an insect. I felt it was wrong. I remember being in this discussion with this friend of mine, we were like in the 4th grade, and he killed a bee, and I got really upset. I called him a killer. I said, why do you kill the bee? And he started to make fun of me because it was an insect. But to me, it was not just an insect. It was someone who was killed. It didn't matter if he had an insect body or a human body. So I know that it's very true to who I am. And so in that sense, going back to your question, I really believe that we come all from different angles in different parts of our lives. And so it is not to judge where others are, but to be loyal where we are at and where we want and what we want. So it is a game of Lila. And if people are not aware to this notion of Lila, it is the game of consciousness. It is one of the reasons why we're here. It is to play this game, to enjoy the game. So the final question is, what game are you playing? Again, not just as individuals, but it's this extended unfolding of societies and nations and species and planets and cosmos and dimensions. And in this sense, I'm really excited for this next, I would say 10 to, at least in my case, because after 10 to 15 years, I think I'm going to go to the last ashrama of my life and taking more inner space and be more and more silent and being less engaged in social activities. But I have my next 10 to 15 years that I really want to see a lot of workshops within the posthuman community and beyond to allow voices and not to tell others what to do, but to hear what is their plan, what is their vision, what do they want to manifest. So I think it's going to be really exciting. And I think this itself is nourishing algorithms. Our conversation is nourishing AI. And so there is no fear involved. There is our own actions and reactions and karma, not seen as something negative that goes back to us, but something positive that goes out of us, our waves within the ocean of existence.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me and being a gift today, and also for sharing your dream of a post-human world. I think I share the same vision as well. I'm part of the email, but speaking to you through the video. You also have a very nice way of voicing your message clearly. And so, yeah, I just want to thank you for joining me today. It was really nice.
Thank you so much, Venya. And thank you so much for your patience with me. I know that after, this final possible connection, I got aware that you wrote me in the past. And I did read your email, so you were part of me. But I do have limited time, and I decided that to be fair to everyone, I just don't reply unless there is a direct connection that has been already happening. But I do read all the emails. So thanks again for being patient and just maybe, I don't know if you judge me or not, and I understand you judge me, but thank you so much to come back to me after my silence for I think some years. And thank you so much. You were with me, and I did read your messages, and thank you so much for your beautiful insights, your conversation, and also your artwork. I really appreciated your drawings about Art of Being Posthuman. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.